Activate.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of In the 305 with Oliver Gilbert. I'm Oliver Gilbert, Miami-Dade Commissioner for District 1. If you've been following our show since its beginning, you might remember a very special episode in our first season. I had the opportunity to take dozens of students from the district to DC. It was before the last election, and we got to talk about voting and the importance of our democracy. It's something I do every year. I take a spring break expedition every year, and 2025 was no different. This year, 47 students from 9 different schools got to take a trip of a lifetime. It was several days of traveling through several states and cities that played a major role in our history. Students toured several civil rights museums, discovered the joy and importance of African American music, and saw the location of the historic March for Civil Rights in Selma, Alabama. And that's just to name a few. Today, I'm back at my alma mater, Miami-New Orleans Senior High School. We're the Vikings. Now this is where my educational journey began, especially with regard to American history. I still remember sitting in Mr. Farber's class. He taught us the importance of learning history, understanding what happened, what really happened, so we could know how to do better in the future. That's where my love for history started. In so many ways, that's where my love for public service started. So it's here that I wanted to have an in-depth conversation with 4 of the students who went on the trip this year. Let's meet senior Nariah McKinney, juniors Raquel Weaver, Hannah Vasquez, and Denzel Augustine. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
First, and anyone can take this question. What made you want to go on the trip? You get one spring break, you're a senior, they're juniors. I know you all look forward to a break from school. What made you say, hey, I want to go on a civil rights trip for spring break?
If everybody doesn't mind, I'll take the question first. So again, I'm Nariah McKinney, and my grandfather, he was a big history buff. He was Harold McKinney as well, my late grandfather. And once I first saw the trip, I'm just scrolling on social media and I see Oliver Gilbert Spring Break Expedition, District 1 schools apply. I was trying to weasel my way in there because I'm not completely sure if my school is a part of District 1, but I still applied anyways. And I got accepted. I wrote about, the Black Panther Party. And I was like, I know I really don't spend my spring break doing much. I know I was just gonna be home, probably cleaning my house, and I didn't really wanna do that. So I was like, why not apply to this trip? It was interesting, it's about history, it's about culture, so why not, attend?
Well, and you didn't have to clean the house?
No, I didn't. I was gone the whole trip. It was amazing. I had food in my belly. We went to 3 different states, went to many museums, many trips, many tours. I had so much fun, and I did not have to scrub 1 inch of my house.
When you came home, did you have to clean the house?
No, I think I had to clean 2 days before, but the point was I wasn't home all week cleaning my house.
Well, that's very important. I'm happy I rescued you. What about you, Denzel?
Well, I honestly thought that on spring break I originally wasn't going to be doing anything. However, it was last year that I originally heard about your trip to DC, and I didn't take the opportunity for it, and I regretted it immensely. So this time when I heard that you were taking the students to Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, and I knew that this was a chance that I could not miss, and I didn't, and of course, since I'm a major history buff, hence my tie, I was like, I have to learn from history, so I'm not doomed to repeat it, and so I signed up for this trip.
All right, so Raquel, tell me, what was your favorite city, and why was it your favorite city?
I really liked Birmingham because, I liked where we went in Birmingham. I felt like that had a lot of significance to, especially the trip. We went to the 16th Street, the church on 16th Street, right? And I remember thinking, a lot. I've learned about it in school. I've learned about it kind of in a couple different places, but actually being there was very, I don't know, it was
impactful.
Right.
It's very impactful, yeah.
And there was a girl who died during that, the bombing, of course. And I hadn't made that connection where she was from, where I heard her name from, and I heard about her in another organization that I'm part of, Carol Robertson and Jack and Jill. So I was like, I made that connection. I was like, wow. It kind of brought me back, like, making that connection made me think about how I see like the civil rights in my daily life, and I'm not even really acknowledging it really.
It connected the dots of history from what happened then to what's happening now and how you're experiencing it.
Exactly.
No, that's very important. Hannah, what about you?
My favorite state we went to was probably, I would say it probably was also like Alabama. I feel like we saw a lot of, like, it was really, I feel like we learned a lot of things there that I had never been exposed to previously. I feel like the curriculum that we're taught in schools doesn't tend to go over stuff, especially like the more violent stuff that happened during the civil rights movement.
Yeah, I think Alabama was probably the most impactful state for me also. And I think because it was Alabama where it really was, a fine point was put on the fact that the people who were involved in the civil rights movement were kids. Like they're a little older than y'all. Naraya, I'm gonna go to you with this question.
Okay.
What historical fact was most impactful to you?
Which historical fact from the whole trip?
Yeah.
It was actually the one when we went to, it was a library inside of Tennessee, and we had the 10 seating commandments performed by an older man there. But in the room opposite, it was about the women's suffrage to vote. One of the facts was one of the young men who could overturn those votes, his mother called him that morning and told him to make the right decision. So I was like, that's so impactful how much your mother, like even though you're swayed by society most of the times to want to follow everyone else, like your mother, the person who held you for 9 to 10 months and was like, you better make the right decision or you better kick rocks, basically. Like she knows you better than anyone. Like we really have to thank our moms most of the time. Yeah.
No, I remember that point. Now, Denzel, what point in history actually shocked you the most?
I knew that I knew about it. It was the period around, is after the Civil War, after Reconstruction, when Reconstruction stops. It's around that entire inner, I would say about that inner period in the late 1890s to about the 1920s. Is that entire period, and I remember this at the Legacy Museum. And originally I thought, okay, most people, most African Americans during that time period, either in the South were subjected to Jim Crow, or those in the North who were trying to seek opportunities, I believe in 1910, Great Migration, all the way up north. I remember it was only just that. I only left it at that. However, when I got to see the Legacy Museum in Alabama, that's when it really started to hit about how absolutely horrendous it was down in the South. We walked through to because the museum is set in time periods and all that stuff. That museum was amazing.
Was this the one when we walked in and it was like you were walking across the ocean, almost, and it kind of reincarnated, it showed you the migration of slaves as they were transported during the Middle Passage. And during that one, that was my favorite museum. You walk in and it's showing you the number of people who died during the Middle Passage. And so you didn't really get a full understanding. We learned it in school, the Middle Passage was dangerous. No, millions of people died. They lie at the bottom of the ocean. With all the talk and all we've learned about civil rights and what happened in the past, did any of you actually pay attention to how far we've come? And we don't live in a perfect society, but we've come a long way. Do any of you note that? Sure, go ahead.
I would agree. However, while I did see that, I did see how now we are kind of regressing in that way. I saw, we do not have to sit at the back of the buses anymore. We don't have to go through the back doors of any establishments, but it's looking with the way things are going now that may be in our future.
We secured these rights, but we thought it was permanent. We didn't know that this was an enduring fight. This was something that we have to continue. We can't become complacent, because if you're complacent, ultimately you'll be on the back of the bus again. You'll be eating at a different lunch counter again. Denzel, I'm gonna ask you this question, because what year are you gonna be president of the United States?
The year that I'm setting for my presidential run, 2052.
2052. All right, 2052. What should be our expectation of the next generation of leaders in this country and in this community?
Well, what I expect out of the next generation is that I expect that they're better than us. I expect that they fight harder than us, that they work smarter than us. I expect for every generation after us to learn from us, from our own mistakes. And if they don't, then we're going to, like Raquel said earlier, we're going to regress back. And we don't want that to happen.
What do you think, Lorraine?
What I hope for the previous generation, even to piggyback off of what Denzel said, I would hope that instead of us continuing to, I hope they break habits, basically. Like a lot of us will carry on unknowingly, like what our grandparents and our parents do. I hope that they understand the difference between you have your own choices and you make your own path and destiny in life, and that whatever, even a small impact and change, can break a cycle that you don't even know that is there. And you're unknowingly changing the world without you even stepping foot out your door, or you not even picking up your phone, even spreading a little bit of history and making sure that, I actually am gonna quote my history professor, you are a historian, so make sure that you are keeping yourself educated, breaking those cycles, and ensuring that the next person that you're speaking to is learning just as much as you.
Don't be enslaved by the ideas of the past. You all have an opportunity that we didn't. You have access to information. You are smarter than my generation. You are so much smarter. You all are brilliant. Like being on this trip, for me to be on the trip with you all was a great honor. I got to listen and learn from you all. How you, not just how you speak, but how you process. I want you to never be afraid to use your voice. Never be afraid. The world will silence you, and that'll come from a whole bunch of different places. The world's gonna silence you. Progress really is made by people imagining things differently. There's this shirt that was in one of the museums. I think it was in the museum that was in the hotel, and I bought it for my daughter, and it said, well-behaved women don't change the world. People who write what you expect, they never write what Maya Angelou did. You have to be fearless. You have to be fearless and unafraid to imagine something different and work a little harder. Now, I think if you do that, and you'll be fine and we'll be fine. I think if you do that, we'll be fine culturally and socially, but we'll also do things like cure diseases, because I think that you all have the type of talent. Now, it's our hope when we put these trips together that it does something, you see something, you hear something, you interact with people, and somehow you become inspired, you become motivated. Do you think we were successful this time in that?
Oh, 100%.
What do you think?
I think that I talked to a lot of people on the trip that I never would have spoken to otherwise. And I feel like a lot of us had differing perspectives on certain issues. And it kind of taught me like that not one particular point of view is correct. That like everybody, there's merit in everyone's point of view and opinions. And I just felt like everybody on the trip was just so intelligent, and they had such like refreshing points of view that I wasn't used to hearing. So it was just really, it was a really good experience.
Oh, I think it was too. How about you? What do you think, Rio?
I do agree. I have to agree. I met, like Hannah said, I met so many different people. I had a whole bunch of conversations with a couple of different people. We did butt heads a little, but it was refreshing to have that, because usually I'm around people that, share, like they echo back what I'm, saying, so.
I experienced something like that. The first time I experienced something like that, I was actually in college at FAMU. And what was so refreshing about FAMU, and this is not a shameless plug for FAMU, but it was someplace where, I'd never been in a place, and I went here in New Orleans, and we had a bunch of smart kids, but we were kids. When I went to FAMU, there were people who had completely different ideas, but they were smart. And so we could actually talk about these things, and we can argue about these things. And it helped me actually refine my ability, my thought, my ability to actually process and defend my position and defend my point. You don't experience those things. You don't grow by living in an echo chamber. I don't have echo chambers. I don't want an echo chamber, because the echo chamber just allows me to hear myself over and over and over again. To really grow, to get better, to be smarter, to improve yourself, you actually have to. You actually have to actually interact with people who see things differently. What was you all's favorite restaurant? Now, I know what my favorite restaurant was. What was your favorite restaurant? And I saw all y'all eat, none of y'all shy.
Was it the Dirty Bird, guys? Did you guys enjoy the Dirty Bird?
No.
At Flying Bus?
Yeah, did you all?
That was good.
Yeah,
Denzel.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, all the food was just, but the Dirty Bird was good. It was really good.
My favorite restaurant was the one actually by the water. Oh
The
my gosh.
formal dinner, yes.
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
Incredible.
I was on a special diet at that time, and apparently the chef made me a special meal. It was so good. And the restaurant owner, like, she's a lawyer. She graduated from Howard. We had actually met the woman who's actually over the events there. They both graduated from, and that was another historical aspect. The woman from the management, she also graduated from Howard, but before it was an accredited university. And it was so nice meeting her, but the food was amazing there. I had an amazing meal there.
Amazing. It was,
Oh
how
my
about you?
gosh.
I really liked biscuits and jam. We went there twice, so it was really great. Like, we got to eat there
So
twice.
that's the place when we went to, we had we had to go down the stairs. Oh yeah, no, listen, that was my jam right there. Those biscuits.
Those biscuits.
Those biscuits were so good. So my mom used to make these buttermilk biscuits from scratch, and I have not been able to perfect this recipe. Those biscuits came as close that you could, I mean, those biscuits were amazing. Did you all have any questions? I'll give you all a chance to ask me a question. We never do this. We don't do this on the show. We don't say, hey, you can ask him a question. We don't do that. We bring people on this show. I ask you questions, but you know what? We're gonna open it up. Do you all have any questions of me?
I do. Commissioner Gilbert, do you feel like our generation actively, like, do you see anyone you work closely with is impacting society or even their community the way that you normally would go about things, or they're making a large enough impact that the word is spreading?
So what I see is that you all are using your voices in a singular way, and that's fine, because when you aggregate those voices, when you actually use it, so I can see the movement forming. I can actually see it. So when I hear this crazy stuff coming out of Tallahassee and coming out of Washington sometimes, I know the cure to their crazy is you. We are going to find a way to be better, to come together. It's going to happen. I think they understand it, and I think that's why they're fighting. I think when you said that they don't teach this in history, I think why they want to erase history, because they understand that the true power of history, it allows us to learn empathy. You get to empathize, you get without actually being a part of it. So you learn that treatment of these people like this was wrong. We don't want to do that again. How you stop kids from learning empathy is you stop teaching history.
I heard the trip next year is in the works. Do you have any knowledge that you can impart?
I do. We're planning the round 2 of the civil rights trip. We're going to finish it. We're going to finish it. Yeah, so it's breaking news. We're going to finish it next year. Wait, and you're a senior. Oh, darn.
I won't be here, unfortunately, but I will be stalking you guys on your Instagram pages.
We look forward to you following us on Instagram, and you can root for us.
Yes, I follow both accounts, actually.
All right.
Yes.
Question?
I think I do have one. I do have one for you. And I want to ask it for the people at home. I want to know, what can you say to the people who are watching this? What can they do as of now to try and help try and better, if I had to say, the education of our history, to try and better the education and the acknowledgement of what has gone on in the past and what we can do to better the future?
Pay attention. Pay attention. And don't be afraid to speak up. And don't only speak up when it applies to you. It's easy if someone's doing something egregious to someone who's Cuban and you're Cuban to be offended. But it should offend you whether you're Cuban or not. It's easy when you're Haitian to be offended if someone's doing something egregious, but it should offend us no matter what. Look, one of the things that I noted in our country is, and we have to see ourselves in each other more. When the politics of division, what it does is it says you're nothing alike. In truth, we're all like 99% alike. You know, and most of us require all the same stuff. But we all walk around here thinking we're different. Everybody needs some medical care. Everyone wants safe. Everybody wants to be safe. Everybody wants good education. Don't let people tell you that we're so different that we can't care about each other. Because the flip side of that is this. If they're coming for them, you're next. They're coming for them, you're next. You got a question?
Well, before I wanted to ask what inspired you to do the Civil Rights Expedition, but I feel like you kind of answered that.
I did, but it really is, in some ways, and I'll expand on the last answer. In some ways, when I see what's going on with regard to teaching African American history, civil rights, I actually, it made me want to do the trip more. Because just because somebody's taking something out of school don't mean we shouldn't teach it. It doesn't mean that we won't teach it. They said they couldn't teach it in a school. I'm not in a school. No, we're gonna do our best to make sure you know from whence you came. And that's not just the black kids, that's the country. Because civil rights, slavery, it was not a black story, it was an American story. It's what we did, it's how we as a country evolved. The fact that women didn't get the right to vote until 1920, that women's suffrage, it's not a women's story, it's a testimony of this country, how we improved. Some people look at the past and they think, oh, wow, we were horrible. I look at the past and think, man, we got better. We got better. We got better. It didn't start off, and it is not now perfect. It will not be perfect. We are in search of a perfect union. We are in search of that union. And it's that search, it's that deliberate and intentional search that will make us better. That's why we're the shining city on the hill. That's why we're the paragon, and we should be the paragon of democracy that people look to. Because this experiment, the American experiment, it is something that literally has transformed the world. And it's still going on. And you're the new doctors, you're the new scientists, you're the new people who are conducting the experiment. It's your generation. Have at it. Thank you for joining us. This was an extraordinary episode, and I hope it gave you some insight into our history, as well as instilled some hope into who we're becoming, who our future is, what the future generation looks like. Look, I've had the opportunity of going on this trip with you all, and I have every confidence in what we're becoming as a country and what we're becoming as a world, because I got a chance to experience this with you. I know that when you say you're going to run for president, I think you're going to be president. I think that you all are going to be extraordinary. You're going to do extraordinary things. Just keep working at it, and remember, let your light shine.